After reading through plenty of articles related to the recent Lords of the Fallen hands-off demo, I think that I'm finally ready to tell you a bit about the game. This video will be split up into multiple parts, covering topics from combat to gameplay mechanics, and of course I will also give a warning before entering major spoiler territory. With that said, let's get started. The combat in Lords of the Fallen will be fast, violent, and more fluid than a typical Souls game. With the ability to map magic to a radial menu, you can mix swinging your weapon and casting spells, giving you a wide variety of combos to use in battle. There are also some animations you can cancel out of. These combos in standard combat are supported by seamless looking animations that add to the fluid feeling this game has to offer. Magic in the combat system has both spells that are flamboyant and fast, or spells found later on in the game that will let you summon a literal meteor shower to pulverize entire groups of enemies. There are 3 elemental magic types in Lords of the Fallen: Radiant, Rogar, and Umbral. Not satisfied with just swordplay and magic? Drop the steel and partake in some hand-to-hand combat along with a few running drop kicks just for good measure. The hand-to-hand combat has custom animations that could be compared to a game such as Sifu. Another piece of equipment you will have at your disposal is the Umbral lamp that can be used for soul flaying. Soul flaying is the ability to take a soul out of an enemy's body and throw it. The enemy will then try and retrieve their soul in whatever direction it went. Using this ability you can do things such as directing an enemy off a cliff, into fire, or even into other enemies. There is no dedicated parry button in Lords of the Fallen. Instead, to achieve a parry, you will need to tap the block button at the exact moment an enemy's attack hits. This means failed parry attempts are less punished because it will still count as a block. The game director Cesar Virtuoso says, "We wanted to achieve that Jedi fantasy where you swing the sword and do a little force push, and you continue with the sword." Virtuoso is highlighting how rotating between melee attacks and spells while in combat will have a seamless feel. There are 9 starting character classes, and a few of them have been named on the game's Steam page. These include the Knight, Rogue, and Fire Apprentice. I have also seen the names Black Feather Ranger and Pyromancer be thrown about. I am unsure, however, if these are separate classes or potential renames. 3D scans of real people are used for the character models, and all clothing and armor will conform to the shape of your character. The character creator will have that standard From Software style, with lots of options to play around with. The game starts with a rather big tutorial area. After completing the tutorial, the game will open up into a larger world with different explorable places. There are 5 dungeons marked on the map with red beacons. You can pursue these on your own accord, although there is apparently an optimal order in which you can do each dungeon. The world of Lords of the Fallen is semi-open, meaning every level has different directions you can take and every other level loops back into each other. All of the areas are varied in size, with some being vast and some being small, but everything is very interconnected. Anchors are the checkpoints in Lords of the Fallen. These checkpoints are very few, so you will need to use special materials you get from Umbral monsters to craft your own customizable anchors. But you best put your anchors somewhere safe, because enemies can destroy them. And if you reach New Game Plus, your customizable anchors will be the only checkpoints that exist. In Lords of the Fallen, there are 2 realms that exist in parallel. These realms are known as Axiom and Umbral. As well as soul flaying, the Umbral lamp also gives you the ability to walk between these 2 realms. You will use this ability to overcome obstacles. An example of this would be using a bridge that exists in Umbral to pass over a group of enemies in Axiom. However, while holding the lamp up, you will be vulnerable. Lowering your lamp for any reason will result in all structures that only exist in Umbral, such as the bridge, to vanish. And if you are using your lamp to walk between the realms, there is a chance you can be dragged into Umbral by a single attack of an undead enemy. Sometimes simply peering into Umbral will not be enough, and you will need to completely transition over. Once you have fully entered Umbral, you will not be able to leave without an anchor. In Umbral, your standard health and healing are replaced with a grey withered health that will only fill up by attacking enemies. Staying in Umbral will slowly drive you insane. Your sanity is indicated by an eye that sits at the bottom right corner of your screen. The eye will begin to open, and as it does you will become susceptible to hallucinations. And cowardly actions like running away from enemies will cause the eye to open faster. When sent to Umbral after dying, you will have to deal with enemies from both realms. And dying in Umbral will result in you losing all of your experience points and being sent back to the previous anchor. Skip to the timestamp shown on the screen to avoid major spoilers. Lords of the Fallen has more than 30 bosses, and about half of them come with multiple phases. Let's start with Pieta, the tutorial boss, a beautiful and merciful angel that will be both compelling and memorable to fight. She is a raid boss with multiple phases, transformations, and emotions. She will not feel like a tutorial boss, but you will learn how to play the game while fighting her. The next boss is a giant clump of screaming human corpses, also known as the Congregator of Flesh. The fight will begin with slow, readable attacks until phase 2 begins, in which the boss will summon waves of enemy corpses and go into a frenzy, thrashing around the whole arena. A boss you most likely noticed in the gameplay teaser trailer is a 2-phase horror show. Stage 1 starts with a currently unnamed but intimidating looking warrior that uses radiant magic. However, things take a dark turn when Stage 2 begins. In Stage 2, you will get the displeasure of meeting this warrior's less dominant conjoined twin, Reinhold, who will make a very disturbing appearance as he unleashes his full power. Reinhold's animations were motion captured from Troy James, who is known for his freakishly flexible body. The final boss we know of is presumably called Willa. She is a secret boss, and although her story is currently unclear, we do know that she found a child in Umbral that is now under her protection. She wields a sword and crossbow while fighting an ox, an old Germanic sword fighting stance. Her movements were also motion captured from historical martial arts experts. Phase 2 continues the theme of getting disturbing, by Willa merging with the child to become one. In this fight you will be aggressed with attacks from Willa, while the child uses magic that will both damage you and slow your movements. I predict the child will use Umbral magic, seeing as it was found in Umbral. Lords of the Fallen features online 2-player co-op, and unlike other Souls games where summoning someone is temporary, the online in Lords of the Fallen is uninterrupted, meaning it is possible to play through the entire game with another player in just one big session without interruption. The online co-op is actually encouraged by offering players rewards such as full armor sets for completing tasks or reaching certain milestones together. And of course the difficulty will be scaled up to accommodate another player. Another online feature I am particularly excited for is the ability to invade other worlds, although there is not much detail on PvP yet. And that's it. I hope you found my video informative. A link to my Twitch will be in the description, where I'm always more than happy to talk about Lords of the Fallen with my viewers. Thank you for watching and stay safe.